You know, in Hollywood, there's woulda, shoulda, coulda. Winona Ryder would have played Sofia Coppola's part if Robert Duvall would have agreed to do the movie, and if a certain what they call long-standing rivalries on the set between everybody from Pacino to Keaton and Coppola with some of these, these charges wouldn't have been there. So today we're not going to be talking about the different versions of Godfather 3. We're talking about some trivia that a lot of people do know about and some people don't. We're getting this from IMDb and also from one of my favorite YouTube sites, Heavy Spoilers, where they basically break down every minuscule moment of major releases of the last 5 or 6 decades. Is quite interesting. A cinemaphile's delight. Now, Al Pacino, who played Michael, was offered $5 million to reprise his role as the second head of the family, but Pacino wanted $7 million plus a percentage of the gross. FFC refused. He threatened to rewrite the script by starting the story with Michael's funeral sequence instead of the film's introduction. Pacino agreed to the $5 million offer. Pacino later stated that he did not agree with his portrayal of Michael in the film. He didn't believe that Michael would ever feel regret or remorse for anything, especially the murder of his brother Fredo, who he considered a traitor. Now, Robert Duvall was going to come back as Tom Hagen, but he turned down the $1 million offer that the studio had promised him to recreate the role. Duvall, who was a bigger star at the time than Pacino, did not feel that his proposed salary was commensurate with Al Pacino and Diane Keaton, who were getting $5 million and $1.5 million respectively. The character was subsequently written out. Duvall later defended his position, explaining that making money was the only reason to produce another Godfather movie after so many years. Now, Sofia Coppola, who it was a terrible performance, but she's better as a director than an actress, had to redub nearly 20% of original dialogue for the final cut after a disastrous early screening for the New York press in December of 1990, where many of the critics acrimoniously singled out their performance. According to an interview in Entertainment Weekly the following month, she said her greatest vocal challenge as a role was getting rid of her Valley Girl accent and correctly pronouncing the name Corleone or Corleone. Now, at the reception after the opening ceremony in one of the most important scenes in the movie, Vincent bites Joy Zaza's ear. Much later, the Opera House, during Antony's performance in Cavaliero Rusticana by Pietro Mascagni, is very amused to see the scene where Tirito bites Alfio's ear. It is not random. Biting ear and drawing blood stands for fighting to the death, according to Sicilian customs. Now, Francis Ford Coppola once admitted that he was still unhappy over the final result because of a lack of time to write the script. According to him, he wanted $6 million for the writer, producer, and director fee, and 6 months to write the script. Instead, the studio gave him only $1 million in fees and only 6 weeks to work on the script in order to meet the Christmas 1990 release date. He also regretted that the character of Tom Hagen could not be in the movie due to financial demands by Duvall. Now, ironically, one of the best cameos in the first movie, Vincent's mother, Lucy Mancini, who was basically vertically banged by James Caan in the famous scene, is the bridesmaid with whom Sonny had an affair in The Godfather. And she's very happy that he's being accepted in the family. Now, Catherine Scorsese, Martin Scorsese's mother, is one of the women who stops Vincent to complain of the poor care of the neighborhood. She can also be seen in another gangster film, Goodfellas, in a larger role as Tommy DeVito's mother. Now, it is well noted that Pacino and Keaton had some trouble over the years after their breakup. They had dated on and off over numerous years after making their first film together, ultimately breaking up for good when Keaton wanted a long-term relationship and Pacino did not want to commit. This led to some friction when they first arrived in the Godfather 3 set. Like their characters, they were able to get past the issues of their past. In real life, however, it involved Keaton traveling back to New York City with Pacino for the funeral of his grandmother who had died during production. Now, ironically, Winona Ryder was supposed to play Sofia Coppola's part, and her departure from the film created a major fuss on the set and in the media. Ryder did actually arrive at the set to perform the part of Mary, but ultimately backed out. She arrived on the set in Rome 2 days after completing work on Mermaids with Cher in Massachusetts, but passed out immediately in her hotel room upon arrival and was eventually diagnosed with exhaustion. Following a departure on the film, several headlines were created about the exit, either claiming that she was pregnant, that she had a nervous breakdown, that she was on drugs, that her then boyfriend Johnny Depp was having an affair making her crazy, or that Depp talked her out of doing the film so that she could appear in Edward Scissorhands. However, none of this was true. but she was threatened with lawsuits from several parties, including Paramount. However, Ryder met a lot of support and empathy from the cast, and eventually sorted out. Of course, the late Rebecca Schaeffer was in the running to play Mary Corleone, but unfortunately she was murdered by a stalker on the date she received the script for the film. She went to the door thinking the script was going to arrive, and her stalker showed up, and later that day killed her. Now, it is the first of only 2 trilogies to have all three films nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture. Of course, 72, 74, and 90, and The Lord of the Rings was the other one. Now, because of the popularity of 2 earlier Godfather movies, Frank Sinatra reversed his anti-Godfather stance and expressed interest in playing Don Altobello. He lost interest because of his size of the paycheck for the role, and it went to the great Eli Wallach. Coincidentally, Sinatra got his role in From Here to Eternity when Wallach backed out due to scheduling conflicts with a Broadway play. Legend has it that Sinatra used mob ties to get Wallach's part, which inspired the Johnny Fontaine subplot in The Godfather in 72. Now, coincidentally, the Vatican Bank, which played a major role in the movie, once owned the land upon which Paramount Pictures was located. Paramount leased the land owned by the Vatican from the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which is near the Paramount property. Now, the Pope plot is quite interesting because the murder of the first John Paul in 78, they had 3 popes, and like the big rumor is that John Paul I was murdered because of his connections with the Vatican Bank, which is yet to be proven or disproven. Now, despite bearing the title Part 3, Francis Ford Coppola considers the film to be a series epilogue. For the movie's 30th anniversary in 2020, he made an alternate version that was cut out 4 minutes of footage and rearranged the beginning and ending, which received a limited theatrical release under the title The Godfather Coda. Now, after an argument between Michael Corleone and members of the Vatican, he leaves the building, saying we're back with the Borgias. Now, Mario Puzo, who authored The Godfather, later wrote a book about the Borgias called The Family. Now, Mary Corleone, aunt, is played by Sophia's real-life aunt, Talia Shire, who was nominated for Best Supporting Actress in the 74 Godfather Part 2. Now, Shire's mother, Italia Coppola, whose resemblance is unmistakable, plays a relative at a party standing just behind Eli Wallach. Now, this was the only film in the trilogy not to win the Academy Award for Best Picture, nor to be selected for preservation by the National Film Registry. Now, when Andy Garcia filmed his fight scene, he insisted on beating the stuntman with a real pistol instead of a prop pistol. This resulted in the stuntman suffering a cut that required stitches. Now, for a widely criticized performance in the film, she won 2 Razzies for Worst Supporting Actress and Worst New Star. At the time, her performance also set a new record for the percentage of votes received by any actor or actress in Golden Raspberry Awards history. In a field of 5, she got 65% of the vote. Now, of course, the opening, another lavish celebration. The first was Connie's wedding. The second was Auntie's first communion. And this was in honor of Michael's award from Pope Paul VI. Now, the initial draft for the film, again, and Duvall didn't do it. Of course, George Harrison was brought in. That's one of the worst castings of Sofia Coppola. Now, Joe Spinelli, who played Willie Chichi in The Godfather 1 and 2, was to reprise his role, but died before production was to begin. An earlier version of the script has Don Chichi working for new characters, the Russo brothers. The 3 characters were eventually combined into Joey Zaza. I Get No Respect. Now, the Vatican refused entry to the film crew. Now, Coppola did this movie as part of dealing with his personal and studio bankruptcy. Paramount Pictures approved the film with a $56 million budget under strict conditions. He was given $1 million for writing, producing, and directing, and he was limited. Any additional expenses would not be covered by the studio. Now, he claimed Coppola also felt the movie was incomplete without Robert Duvall's participation. Now, when Winona Ryder withdrew from the film, Laura San Giacomo and Linda Florentino were considered for the role of Mary before FFC decided his daughter Sophia should play the part, even rewriting the script for the part that matched Sophia's age. In the intro draft, the character was more than 5 years older. Sofia Coppola, only 19, expressed apprehension of playing the role, especially when it dealt with, her kissing her first cousin in the movie, as she was attending college at the time as well, and only limited experience as an actress, but nonetheless bowed to her father's requests. Now, Joey Zaza, who takes over the Corleone family's New York City operations, was modeled after John Gotti. Gotti led the coup against the previous boss, Paul Castellano, which was the real-life uncle of cast member Richard S. Castellano. In the story, Richard's character, Peter Clements, is the first heir to the Corleone operation in New York City. Now, early in the film, again, Joey Zaza presents Michael Corleone with the Italian of the Year award, for which he personally recommended him. In 1973, James Caan, who was Jewish, received the award for his portrayal of Sonny. Now, it's the only film in the trilogy not to secure Al Pacino an Oscar or BAFTA nomination. Pacino did, however, receive Golden Globe noms for his performance in all three films. Now, when the movie was first released on VHS, and I remember this in 1991, the tapes were colored gold. Now, Madonna did lobby for a role of Mary, even meeting with FFC and Robert De Niro. It was decided that she was too old for the role. She was offered the role of Grace Hamilton, but she wanted too much money for such a small part, and Bridget Fonda took it over. Now, Michael tells Vincent a very important line which I've used in my life: never let anyone know what you're thinking. His father Vito told Vincent's father Sonny the same thing in The Godfather. In that case, though the positions are reversed, Sonny wanted to do business with Zaloso, which Vito refused to do, and never let people know what you're thinking outside the family. Now, John Savage, actually, plays the son of Robert Duvall's character of a previous film. One of Savage's sisters, Gail Young's, is one of Duvall's ex-wives. Now, Charlie Bluehorn, who the movie is dedicated, was the founder of Gulf and Western, which had acquired Paramount Pictures in '66. He tried to keep the studio afloat after the disastrous failure of Julie Andrews' Darling Lily by making some shady transactions with the Italian firm Società Generale Immobiliari International. Now, Bridget Fonda also auditioned for the role of Mary Corleone. Now, the actors competing for the role of Vincent, according to FFC, including Alec Baldwin, Nicolas Cage, Tom Cruise, Matt Dillon, Val Kilmer, Charlie Sheen, Vincent Spano, and Billy Zane. Now, Joey Zaza is named after FFC's maternal grandmother, whose maiden name was Zaza. Lou Pinino is named after Coppola's grandfather, Francesco Pinino. Now, Joe Mantegna has also voiced the mafia characters Fat Tony in The Simpsons. Mo Baby Blues has Fat Tony crying. I haven't cried as much since I paid to see Godfather 3. Now, Rebecca Schaefer, again, this script delivery, her murder actually prompted the enacting of a number of anti-stalking laws in California and elsewhere, which is saved numerous lives. Now, the biggest problem with the makeup, by the way, was George Hamilton's hair. It proved to be problematic, as it invariably came out orange. Now, the movie's first-run prints were escorted and handcuffed to an FBI agent to each movie theater. At the time, it was already very common that films were stolen before release and available in various forms of the black market before the first patron paid to see the movie theater. Now, Julia Roberts did turn on the role of Mary to appear in Pretty Woman. Now, the original novel, again, Lucy tells Tom Hagen she's not pregnant after Sonny's death. In a subsequent storyline that never made it into the films, Lucy then goes on to marry a doctor. In this movie, Lucy has Vincent, Sonny's grown and rather present illegitimate son, who was said to be born after his father's death. Now, Mickey Rourke was a candidate for Zaza, but was deemed not to be Italian enough. Dennis Farina and John Turturro were also considered. Sylvester Stallone was offered a role as well, but passed on it. Now, Al Pacino, famously quipped to a struggling Sofia Coppola, "When you get the urge to act, lie down and wait for it to pass." Now, unlike the previous two films, again, Pacino was not nominated for an Oscar. He got a Best Supporting nod in '72 and a lead actor in '74. Now, for this film, Garcia got a Best Supporting Actor nomination, but I think Joe Mantegna should have got one as well, but that's just me. Now, even though Connie mentions that Fredo died in a drowning, it is never revealed whether or not she knew that Michael had Fredo killed. Now, here's the deal with this, ladies and gentlemen. You could do an offshoot on, you could do like Fredo. I'd like to see a movie just on Fredo. Now, He's the only Godfather film in the series not to have multiple acting nominations at Academy Awards and not to win any awards in the acting categories. Of course, De Niro, Michael Vigazzo, 74 were nominated. De Niro won, and you had Pacino, you had Brando win the lead for The Dawn. Now, the idea, Sofia Coppola again didn't want to do the movie, and she only did this film as a personal favor to the father. Now, Madeline Stowe again was also considered after Ryder's sudden departure, but Coppola said we'll need somebody in their teens. Now, Luke Perry did an audition for the role of Vincent Mancini. Now, it's the shortest movie of the Godfather trilogy, and has been cut a little bit for time and coherence. Now, 3 years before the film was released, the title was used for an episode of Cheers, The Godfather Part 3. Now, this was the first and only Godfather chapter to be shot in a Super 35 format. The cinematography is tremendous. Now, the film's cast includes 3 Oscar winners, Pacino, Keaton, and Coppola, and 2 Oscar nominees, Garcia and Talia Shire. Now, the subplot for the Vatican was pretty freaky because although he plays an Italian mobster in the movie, Eli Wallach is Polish-Jewish. Now, aside for John Gotti, Joey Zaza was also modeled on renegade Colombo family mobster Joey Gallo, as he was inclusive working with gangsters of other ethnicities, including African Americans, and of course Joey Colombo, who founded an organization that claimed to be an Italian-American civil rights group, and like Gotti, attracted unwanted publicity. Now, the Albert Finney, Marcello Mastroianni, Philip Nolet, and Jean-Marie Volonté were considered by the role of Archbishop Liam Francis Gilday. I think Albert Finney would have done a great job. Now, this is the second movie in which Andy Garcia appears in a major scene where he shoots someone on long stairs, of course, the first of the Untouchables. Now, Fariza Balk from Wizard of Oz, Return to Oz fame, auditioned for the part of Mary, but was considered again too young. Now, this is the only 5th film to receive both Oscar and Razzie nominations in acting categories after Gloria, 1980, Only When I Laugh, 81, Yentl, 83, and Wall Street. Now, Diane Lane and Virginia Madsen were also considered for the role of Grace Hamilton. It was the only Best Picture nominee that year to be also nominated for Best Song. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Godfather 3 is a double pack of cigarettes. If you smoke too much, you're going to choke to death. But if you have a few and just smoke it over time, there's scenes in a Godfather really, really good. But I'm not an editor. But like the scene where Mary and Vincent are doing like the cooking scene with the finger, it looks like ganache. You know, there's a lot going on here. You got incest, you got opera, you got an evil Eli Wallach, you got cannolis, you got Pacino with diabetes, you got Diane Keaton, who usually is a great actress. She's terrible in this movie. You're looking for Robert Duvall. You got George Hamilton there. That's like putting red buttons in The Godfather. It just stands out like a sore thumb. When I saw The Godfather initially at the Paramount Theater in Campbellton, people literally walked out because one person in the crowd said Sofia Coppola came on because we heard Bridget Fonda was in the movie. She thought she was playing Mary. Bridget Fonda, very sexy actress, very good actress. And we found Sofia Coppola, and one guy said, "Is that the kid from The Outsiders asking for change?" That's how despised it was. And it's not her fault. If my father's Francis Ford Coppola and says, you got to do this, going to save the movie, who's going to turn down? And she learned how to be a better director by dealing with how bad an actor she was. You got to know your limitations. Like, I'm not an economics reporter. I have covered economics, but I'm more of a legislature and sports and news and TV. I'm only specialist at 6 things. I know reporters specialists at 40 categories. I'm an interpretive writer. I'm not an economics major. I'm not even a social major. I learned how to do movies and TV because I watch a lot of movie and TV, but I'm not an insider. So Godfather 3, Part 1, 4.5 stars. Part 2, 5 stars. Godfather 3, 3 stars. There is 30 good scenes in a movie, but there's 100 bad scenes. So if you want to keep to the good scenes, it's almost like when George Martin was said, you know, made the White Album a double album, should have done a good single album. I think if he would have found a way not to cast Sofia Coppola and you know, had Duvall in there, because we're looking for Robert Duvall, because he was what do you call, he was betrayed by Michael in both movies, if you'll really look at it, because he asked the Michael W. Gazzo guy to, you know, if you kill yourself, we'll protect the family. So, and you know, the early moments of The Godfather are made good by Robert Duvall. So again, you got Coppola, wrong. Duvall not in it, wrong. George Hamilton, wrong. And Pacino gives me, you know, but Andy Garcia, what are you going to do with this guy? What do we do and say fuck Michael Corleone? You see, as a Maritimer, I can relate to Andy Garcia's character in the movie. I have a lot of Joey Zazas in my life, and when he kills Joey Zaza, like that. So there should have just been a movie Andy Garcia. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here with our Godfather podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.